Having discussed what ETFs are and its various types, let us now look at a few important factors to be considered while investing in ETFs. The first being the asset under management or AUM, which is the value of the total assets that are being managed on behalf of a client. In a simpler sense, it's like the size of the things you have in monetary terms that you give another person to handle on your behalf. The next is the tracking error, which is a percentage measure that tells us the difference between how the ETF is performing versus how the benchmark index is doing. This is like knowing up to what extent will your portfolio increase gains when Nifty 50, being your benchmark index, is at a rise. A lower tracking error means the ETF is closely mimicking the underlying index or benchmark. In the real world, tracking error cannot be reduced to zero, but investors should target choosing ETFs with minimum tracking errors. Tracking error is equal to the ETF gross return minus the index return. Well, the stock market is not new to fluctuations, right? The constant rise and fall of share prices is nothing but a fight between buy and sell. This is what our bid-ask spread is all about. Ask is the minimum price the seller is willing to offer, whereas bid is the maximum price the buyer is willing to pay. Let us understand this with an example of real estate. The seller or owner of the house wants the maximum for his house, so the minimum the owner is willing to accept is 2 crores. On the contrary, buyer is on a budget and the maximum that the buyer can pay or bid is 1.5 crore. This wide gap suggests lower chances of striking a deal. Whereas if some other owner is willing to offer a similar house for 1.6 crores and the same buyer is willing to pay 1.5 crores for the house, in this case the narrow gap suggests scope for negotiations and higher chances of striking a deal. This suggests that lower the gap between bid and ask, more liquid is the market, meaning higher probability of transactions getting executed at a favorable price. A liquid market for such transactions is preferred, where the assets are bought and sold easily through smooth negotiation and a smaller bid-ask spread. We all need to keep our costs in check before buying anything, and that is why it is important to monitor the expense ratio of an ETF. As discussed previously, this is the amount charged annually by asset management companies for their operating and administrative expenses. It goes without saying that the lower the cost, the better, so a lower expense ratio is always preferred. Now that we know more about ETFs in detail, let's delve into a simple comparison of the same with our well-known mutual funds. This brings us to the topic of exit load. Mutual fund schemes have an exit load, that means a certain cost that one has to pay when he or she exits before a certain period. This varies scheme to scheme, whereas an ETF can be sold readily and has no such loads, making it more cost-effective. Another major difference, going back to the start, is the way in which these instruments can be bought and sold. One can invest into ETFs through a demat account just like stocks in the market, which can be bought and sold at any time, whereas mutual funds have direct and indirect ways of investing. To know more about how to invest in mutual funds, you can click on the link in the description. The expense ratio in ETFs is generally low as compared to mutual funds, as investing in gold or in the index through a mutual fund leads to a double expense, as you once pay for the transaction fee for the trade as well as the fees of the fund manager. Whereas investing in ETF is done directly through a trading account. Surprised how? Well, most of these index or gold mutual funds invest in their respective ETFs. By investing in these mutual funds, one is paying the mutual fund house through the expense ratio. Further, the fund house pays expense ratio for ETFs through the fund's money. Hence, by investing in these mutual funds, one adds an unnecessary layer of expense ratio. This can be seen in the example of the Kotak Gold Fund and the Kotak Gold ETF, where there is a difference of 0.15% in the total expense ratio. This makes the mutual fund more expensive owing to the additional 0.55% paid to the Kotak Gold ETF through the fund's money, making the total expense ratio 0.15 plus 0.55, which is equal to 0.7%. Here we can observe that investing in exchange-traded funds can be cost-effective and a good investing avenue for anyone looking to diversify their portfolio with the ease of stock market investing. Recently, the Nifty 50 ETF crossed the 1 trillion mark in its asset base, indicating a growing investor demand for such products. ETFs, just like many other financial products, can be a great opportunity to grow wealth and become financially hassle-free if one assesses its costs, types, and their own needs well.